Hey all of you, hope you guys are great. So this is where we left in our API project, NFT Marketplace API. I know this video is coming after so many days. And trust me guys, I was wondering to complete this project as soon as possible, but I was involved in other projects. So that's why I was not getting time to complete this. But so finally we are starting and we're going to complete it very soon, okay? So this is where we left in the last video. So we are in the user model section. You can see these are the function we have already built in the last video. So if you haven't watched the last video, make sure to watch. You will have the understanding. And if you are watching this video for the very first time, make sure to access the playlist. In that way, in that you will have a complete idea that what exactly we are building on. So let's come back to the auth controller, and here we have built all the functionality. So we have built the login functionality, we have built the sign up functionality, and here we have written all this piece of code. So this is the signing one, here we are creating the token, this is the login one we have, and this is the protect route, and here we have built all the logic. So here we have this first check that we are checking that whether the token exists or not. In the second check, we are validating that token, and in the third check, we are checking the user who is providing the token is do exist or not. So these are the three check, and the final check we are doing is the password change. So this is the password change check, and this is what we're going to do in this video, and we're going to complete this protect function. So hope you guys have got the idea that what we are exactly working on, and this is the function we have built. This is the instant method we have created. In the last video at the end, we were not getting this logged because we have to do a little bit changes here. Then we can easily able to have the access of the data. So just follow along with me. So this is what we have. This is the console log, and this is the instant method we are building. And here you can see, here you have to do one changes. So earlier what I did, I provided only two equal sign, but it's going to be three. Okay, so make sure to do this change, save it, and we have to do one more changes in the auth controller. So let's come here, and here you can see that these are the data we are assigning in our database, the data user.create. So in that we are taking this name, email, password, and confirm password. But this time what we're going to do is we're going to need a lot of data. So we have to validate the password change functionality, we have to validate the whether the user exists or not, we have to validate the role. So these are the different data we need from the user. Okay, so this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply comment this, and I'm going to unlock this. I'm going to use this method. Later we're going to modify this, but for the time being I'm going to comment this part, and I'm going to uncomment this, because this request.body will have all the data which user will provide. Okay, but here we are going with this hardcode data that we need only these four data, no matter what other data user provide. So this is the one change we're going to do. So just come here, simply select all of these, simply select all this one and comment this one, and we have to uncomment this. So make sure to do this change. This is one is very important. If you don't do that, you will have an error and your code will not work. So here we have all the data. So that looks fine. Save it, scroll all the way down, and here we have the user, and here we have called the change password after, and in that we are passing that decoded the expiry time. So make sure to follow the last videos of the API, then it will make sense. Otherwise everything will become magic to you. So that looks fine to me. Let's come here in the user model, because this time we're going to take another data field. So here we have already taken that password change at, and I'm not going to define an object, I'm going to take a symbol data type. I was testing, so that's why I defined this object. But in your case, because this is the field we have created in the last video, so in your case you will have this simple date. So this is the data we want to add, and this data will add when the user will change the password. Okay, so here we have that. So we have taken this name, we email, photo, password, and confirm password, and this is the pre-hook we have created for saving the data, the password. Okay, and here we have the correct password functions. This is the change password functions, and here we have this data. We are simply consoling log out the password change add data, sorry, the time when the user changing the password, and this is the JWT token, because this will also have the timestamp. Open your server. So make sure to open your server. If you don't know, make sure to follow the previous video. So open up your server, and here I have already connected the server with the postman. This is where we left in the last video, and I'm going to simply make a request on our get, so all NFT. So if I make a request, and here you can see we got this, the user belong to this token no longer exists. Come back here, and right now you can see I don't have any user right here in my database because I have already deleted all the users. In your case, you might be have. So what we can do, come back here in the user sign up, and here we're going to create new users. So let's come here, bring the terminal down, and here I'm going to remove this because this is the field I was testing. I'm going to tell you that how we're going to include this field is, but for the time being, just remove that one. And we need to come here and make a request, and here we got the new user. You can see this is the new user we have created, name, email, photo, and the password. And here let's remove this photo as well and create one more user. So these are the three users we have created. Okay, so it's a duplicate, so I have to simply provide a new email address because this is the validation we have provided, that we can't have the same email IDs twice. Every single user will have a different email ID. So change the email ID. This time I'll call Daulat gmail.com, and I'm going to provide the password and click on the request. So here we have the new user, and this is the ID. This is the email IDs. If you come back to the compass and simply reload, and you can see refresh, you can see this is the data, the two user we have created. So that looks pretty fine to me. Now let's come here, come back to the code, and now we have to check this data. So this is the data we want to check, this dot password change at and JW timestamp. So this is the one we have to check. So let's come here, come back here, and we need to simply bring all these fields back here. And here you can see we have this photo. Simply remove this, I don't want this one. And here I'm simply providing this field because this field will be dynamic. When the user will create the account, at that time we're not going to allow this field to the user to fill out. So this will be only allowed when the user will click on the change password. Okay, so we're going to build that functionality, but this is the field we're going to define in our database. Okay, and this will add only when the user will change the password. So here I'm just going with this, I'm creating a user to show you. Okay, so let's create that, and this is what we have assigned. And here I have to provide a different ML ID and click on send request. This is the user we have created. You can see the field we have got, change password, password change at, and we got the timestamp. And we're going to utilize this timestamp to detach whenever the user will change the password. Okay, so if it's in the future, and the token will generate because every time user will create his account, and whenever the user will log in to the application, we're going to assign a token, and that token is going to be unique to every single user. So once the user will delete his account, once the user will change his password, then the payload and the token would also change. So those token we have generated earlier before the password change, and after the user have changed the password, so those tokens which already exist in the past, if someone's try to have the token and try to access, so we don't want to allow them. Okay, so that's the entire logic we are building here. So if you refresh here, you can see we got this, and we got the password change at date here. So it will work fine. So now let's do the console log. So let's come here, and let's, what we can do is we're going to simply come back to the login, and now let's try to log in. So I'm going to take this email ID. So this is the email because this is the user we have. Copy that one and come back to the login, and we simply paste here. If you passed here, remove this and make a call. And here you can see here we got this token back, and that looks fine to me. And if you come here, and if I bring this down and paste the token and make a call, and this time you can see I can easily able to have the access of the data. But earlier it was saying that the user doesn't exist because we had no user, but right now we have, and it exists in our database. So we can easily able to have the access of the data. So it looks pretty fine to me. Now here you can see in the terminal, when you made that request on the NFT, all get all NFT, here you can able to find the data in the terminal. You can see this is the data normal date format, and this is the data in the millisecond, in second. And that's the data we are getting. One data is coming from JWP token, and the other data is coming from the password change at, because this is what we have assigned when we created the account, and that's what we can easily able to have the access here. So let's come here. What we can do, let's come down here. We're going to create a variable, and we're going to say changed timestamp, and here we have to build a logic. So let me write first. So we'll say this dot password change at, and we'll call this method get time. And so this is what we have here. Now we're going to simply change this, and this time we're going to call this timestamp. So save it, and if you come back and if you hit the request, you can see that this is how we have converted the timestamps. So the one is in millisecond and the other one we have in the second. So now it looks pretty good. Now it's in the comparable format, so we can utilize it. So now we have to simply, it's in millisecond and this one is second, so we have to convert it into second. So let's convert this. We have to simply multiply by 1000 and we have to simply 10 base property. So when you do that, you can easily able to convert that. Okay, so that's the thing you have to do. We are simply converting that, and we come down, and here we're going to simply return false by default. So initially when the user will create an account, at that time there is no point of changing a password. Okay, so this function, this if block, this instant block which we have created, change password after, it will only run when the user will change his password, and this data field password change add will add it into his data in our server. Only that time we going to check for this method. Okay, but by default we're going to return false from this. So let me write the same thing. By default we going to write return false. Okay, by default this is the default behavior, means no changed. And here we have to look for a conditions which will check whether the password change at exists or not, and that's we can do it very easily. So what we can do here, come here we go to return. So here we have this, if JW timestamp is less than change timestamp, means the user has changed the password, so it will return true. But if it's false, then we are returning default behavior, it's false. Okay, but if it's 3 and this one is 2, so it's false. So by default we don't need to do anything. Hope this makes sense to all of you guys. Okay, and now what we can do, let's come here, and here we're going to, because we are returning the true and false, it's a boolean value. So here we're going to check in the if statement. So we'll say if, we're going to wrap this entire one, and we'll say the next. So in that we're going to display the app error message. So if it's true, that means the user have changed the password, and this is the error message we have to display. And here we're going to use this 401 error code. Or if this condition get fulfilled, then we have to simply call the next middleware, and we have to provide the access to the protected route, protected data. Okay, so hope this entire thing makes sense to all of you guys. And here we have to simply send the entire user object rec.user, in that we have the entire data of the user, and this data is coming from this fresh. So we have this fresh user. Here we are passing all the data in the request. So hope this entire thing makes sense to all of you guys. If you still have any confusion, stop the video, try to understand that what we are doing, what comparison we are building, what logic we are initializing. So make sure to analyze this one. So we have written all of these functionality. So this is the main change you have to do here. Okay, rec.body will have all the data, and here we have that. This is the login functionality. Open, looks fine. Simply come and close this one. Here we have the protected route. Here first we are checking token, then we are simply validating that, then we are simply validating, and here we are changing for the passwords, user exists, change password, and finally at the end, once every condition get fulfilled, we are providing the access to the data, and we are also setting the entire request user, the object, to the fresh user. So make sure to do this. So that looks pretty fine. What I want to change this fresh user to current user, and because that's the name shoots. Okay, select all this, come here and simply remove this one and type current user. That looks pretty fine. So hope this entire thing makes sense, and that looks pretty good to me. Come here, and here we don't need to do anything. We have built this instant method, and here we are simply building this condition check, and we have this property, this one getting time, then we are comparing, and at the end we are passing. So that's the only thing I want to cover in this video. Still, if you have any confusion, any doubt, rewatch the video, try to understand that what exactly we are doing here. With that, let's move to the next video.